everybody, and welcome to the PB&J podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Parker LaGrange.
I am your other host, John Arvin.
And if you're wondering, well, what is the PB&J podcast?
It's a podcast all about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yes, sir.
That's all it's about.
I hope you're not gluten intolerant.
No.
And I hope that you like peanut butter and jelly and like facts about peanut butter and jelly, because that's all that we have to offer in this podcast.
That's it. So tune in every week. It's going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. No, but really, what is the PB&J podcast, John?
Well, you're Parker.
I'm Parker.
I'm Jay, or John, Jay.
I'm Jay.
I don't know who I am. And then the B stands for Bible. So Parker and I, we both minister at the Southwest Church of Christ in Oklahoma City. We have been friends for a long time before we've been ministering together here, but we talk every day, and we're always talking about Scripture and God and things that
just
pertain
ministry.
to life and ministry. And so we thought, why don't we just record this if we do it anyway? And maybe it can be a cool resource for the church here and just for anyone who wants to tune in as we have these conversations.
Yeah, and so I thought it would be really cool if, we take this first episode, just kind of introduce ourselves a little bit. I know our members know who we are, but maybe they don't know our entire stories, and we don't have to go into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think it would be really cool just for people to know kind of some of your background, why you're in ministry, what led you into ministry and stuff like that. And so
more than just a person who speaks on
sure.
For those who maybe don't know me very well.
And one of the things that I want to happen, and I think people know this and see this, but I want people to see us as people, just like them, like you and
Preachers are people too.
Yeah, I'm a person, okay? Like we're just normal people, and we are so blessed to be their ministers. But I also want them to not think of us as Preacher John or Preacher Parker. Like, I'm your friend, and I'm your brother.
Two guys.
And, just two bros who like PB&Js.
Well, I actually don't like jelly.
See, that's crazy.
But
okay.
But I do like it if like Crustables or Smuckers wants to sponsor this podcast. They won't, but
I'm staring at the camera. Quick question just before we get into the serious stuff. Crunchy or creamy?
Creamy. I'm not sure I've ever had crunchy peanut butter.
It's not good. I don't think you need to even try it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I probably won't try it then.
Yeah, don't go for it. Actually, that'll be a fun episode. Trying some crunchy.
I mean, listen.
We got to try everything. Our goal is to try and eat a PB&J for every episode. And so maybe we'll throw some crunchy in there just to give it a little crunch.
Got to have an intro to a podcast. We could do a lot of things with.
That's true.
I don't know what you call it if you don't have the J in a PB&J. Is it just a PB sandwich?
Yeah, bro, you can't do that. Like, you're going to have to learn how to like jelly.
No, I don't. Anyway, continue.
All right, so maybe just share with us about some of your story. How you got into the church, when you became a Christian, what led you into ministry, just kind of anything you'd like to share.
I was raised in the church. My family, I remember we were there at worship whenever the building was open. Morning, evening, class and service, Sunday, Wednesday. That's just the kind of family I was raised in. And there's a lot of, I think, spiritual leaders in my family on both sides. I had two grandfathers. One was an elder. I never got to meet him, but just his influence on one side of my family was pretty impactful. The other side of my family, my grandpa, my papa, as I call him, he's been a minister for a very long time in his life and has been a preacher. I've had my dad and uncle were teachers. My grandmothers were both very involved in teaching kids and prison ministry letters and all kinds of things. So just a family that was very involved spiritually and very involved in church life, even outside of the building. And so it was always a big part of our life. I think I became a Christian when I was, I don't know if this is bad, but I don't know if I was 13 or 14, but it was one of those ages.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make that decision, but I was a little too shy at church camp. So on a Saturday, we went up to the old church building for Central and more, and 3 stories up in the air, I got baptized. That's where the baptistry was. So if you go to, I think it's an
on-cue off I-35.
If you go get a icy or like an orange soda, I think around there is where I was baptized into Christ, so just take a
Just
moment and
look up and
appreciate
just be
that.
like, "Nice."
Yeah, sometimes I walk in there and just go, "Yeah," but, that's when I became a Christian. My parents got divorced, kinda shortly thereafter, and I I don't know, I think I went looking for some wrong things in life, kinda left my faith pretty early in a way, like, still at church, but not really living the life or too serious about it, and, I don't know, but something kept kinda calling me back, guilty conscience, things like that. So, around 18 or 19, I really started getting serious about my faith. I credit my family, I credit ministers in my life who were very influential, and I credit just the church and how they loved me through some of those hard things I went through and some others I won't talk about, at least this episode. But so I decided I got involved in church ministry with helping the youth group and things like that. And I decided I want to know my Bible more and I want to maybe be this kind of man for other people who are going through things that ministers were in my life. I wanted to be that kind of help. So I went to Bear Valley. I trained, and after 2 years, I ended up in Elk City, Oklahoma. They were one of my supporting churches, and they had a need. And I did an internship there that summer. I ended up being there a little under 4 years, and that was a blessing. I've ministered as a youth minister in Houston during COVID, so that was not too long, but I think in COVID years, it's like dog years. So
Yeah, no doubt.
I did associate ministry in Choctaw, Oklahoma for a little bit, and then now I'm here. I've been here at Southwest since last January or February. So we're on 1 year,
So
which
how
is
many years
crazy.
total in ministry is that?
Um, since 2016, so this is like
Nice.
year 9,
Yeah.
which sounds long to some and sounds really short because I meet preachers all the time. They're like, "Yeah, I've been preaching 50 years." I'm like, "You are the man. You're awesome."
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So I know, there was a time period after Houston and Choctaw, like, in between those, where
Mhm.
you kinda got out of ministry for a little bit, and you did some other things. You wanna kinda walk through that?
Yeah, I I mean, I really you could say I took a break from full-time ministry, or if to be honest, I quit. Um, I quit and I did not know if I would ever get back into it. I knew it was a possibility, but I mean, there was definitely a period in my life where I thought, "I'm done with this." Um, I don't wanna blame the church for that because, like, it was just difficult. When I think in ministry, you can get really burnt out as a person, just if you don't take care of yourself spiritually or physically or mentally, if you don't really invest in your own personal life too. Um, I was in Texas. I had moved there, and about a month into being there, like I had just moved into my home, and COVID hit, so the world shut down, and that was just challenging. I mean, it was hard every week, and then people know they experienced it too. But our motto in youth ministry for my time there was scratch that.
Yeah.
Because anytime you made a plan, you had to change it, and so that was frustrating, and then I struggled, just with mindset things. I struggled with I felt like it was my job to fix everything, like, to make everything be as good as it can, or like, that the church depended upon how good I was at stuff.
Yeah, it's really easy to fall into that.
Yeah, and for one, it's like, I want the church to do its best in every way. So I strive for excellence, like, when it comes to our effort, but
Mhm.
God works through our imperfection, and church is never gonna be perfect. It's filled with people like us. I mean,
Yeah.
so but I think I tried too hard to make everything as good as it could be or perfect. I think I thought things depended upon me. I was burned out with just how ministry is. I mean, if you've been in full-time ministry, you know what I'm talking about without even having to go into specifics. And so I just felt so disconnected. I mean, from who I was as a minister and preacher to me as a person. I just felt there was a disconnect there from the man to the minister. And so I was unhealthy. I was like thinking about life away from ministry, and I missed home and I missed family and I missed feeling like John. And so I decided I'm just going to go home. I I quit. I took a step away. I moved back to Oklahoma. I didn't have a job. I spent 4 or 5 months doing nothing. I mean, I spent time with family and friends and trying to pick up some hobbies and just breathe life into me, I guess. And then uh, I worked at a bank for a little bit because I needed money, and I got to be a teller. I can't really share too many stories about that because I think you have to sign something when you become a teller that says you will not share information about the people's money you handle. But that was a neat experience. What I learned when I quit ministry was that a lot of the things I was doing, or what I was doing, was not because I was a minister. It was because I was trying to be a man of God. And the things I cared about, like my interest in scripture, did not go away. My interest in wanting to share it did not go away.
Yeah, because there was, you were worshiping at Central and more.
Yeah,
And I was like, hey, man, you should come to Southwest. And you're like, sorry, I'm preaching.
yeah.
You're preaching like every Sunday, even though you weren't necessarily like in ministry. That was
Well,
interesting.
yeah, I got to teach like a young adult class, just people my age, which I was longing for being around people my age, and I got to preach some, fill in for some ministers when they would be sick or some things like that. But it was funny when I quit. I had more opportunities to preach than I did while I was in full time ministry as a youth minister. So I was preaching more than I ever had, which was like I was annoyed with that to a degree because I wanted to be angry
Yeah.
at everything, church, God, whatnot. But then God kept giving me opportunities, and for some reason, I kept saying yes. And I don't know if that's an unhealthy way of not knowing how to say no, or if it was God working through me to say, I don't want you, I want you to be involved in this.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing because it reinstilled in me. I have a passion for this, and I do enjoy it. Even when it's difficult, I enjoy it. And that led to me having some opportunities where I went to Choctaw, and they had a need, and I went out there for a while. And I remember thinking when they offered me that job, I said, I'm going to try full time ministry one more time. And if it doesn't work out, then I will never do it again. I just said that means it's something about me that doesn't fit in this. And so I won't do it. And I went and I told Choctaw this in my time there. I give them credit. I give God the glory and the credit, but anything good I do in ministry for the rest of my life, I will give Choctaw credit for the way they poured back into me when I was very burned out. And they didn't know that. I think their leadership knew that, but the people didn't know that, but they were awesome to me.
That's
And
beautiful,
so
man.
um, I'm now here at Southwest, and I give them a lot of credit for that, and I'm loving it. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done, preaching, being the preacher full time, but it's very rewarding, and I think it's growing me, and I pray I'm doing it well or up to God's standard for me. But yeah, I think it's been a good thing.
I think I can speak for everyone here at Southwest, and also just being your best friend,
Well,
and
you're biased,
and
so whatever you're
seeing
going to say is biased.
everything. I've been with you on this entire journey, and it's just like
You see me at highs and lows. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'm just like so thankful that this is where we're at today, and God brought
Oh,
you here, and we get to do stuff like this together. I mean, it's just awesome,
it's
and
cool. It's
it's
rewarding.
all because of him, and I'm thankful we get to do this together. We're
Yeah.
blessed to have you, man.
Oh well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's hope you still feel that way next year.
I hope so. I think I will, but there's no telling.
Yeah, who knows?
Uh, I I'll share some stuff about me too for a
Yeah.
little
What
bit.
about you?
I know our stories are actually eerily similar when it comes to our upbringing and stuff. I was in the church. That camera stopped. Weird. I was in the church for a long time. Grew up in the church. I didn't take it seriously though until I was uh, about 18 or so, and I I didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life, and I'd gone through a lot of rough things, and a lot of really good Christian people just kind of took me under their wing, and walked with me and worked with me, and led me into a life of going to Bear Valley, that led me into a life of ministry that I it's so weird. Once you're in ministry, you cannot, well, actually, I don't know if that's true for everybody. I could not imagine me doing anything different. I love it so much. It's hard. I mean, there are very challenging moments, but I can't think of a more rewarding job that I could be involved in. And I just love it. I'm not perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes in ministry and with people and stuff, but by the grace of God, I'm still in ministry and I'm still walking hand in hand with Him. And I went to Bear Valley, and a lot of people who go to Bear Valley don't actually go into ministry. That's a reality for some
There's
guys.
I mean, I'd say a lot do, but you're right that some people go to school for it and they realize like, oh, that's just not me. Like that's not
Yeah.
my personality or my talent or and they use it other ways. But
Hmm.
you're right, not everyone does.
Yeah. And so I had a great time there. Like I had a really, really good experience and seeing ministry firsthand from all the different guys there and ministers there. I knew I wanted to get into ministry and specifically youth ministry. And so I had a very close friend there. He was one of the instructors, John. And it's me and John's, man. I've just got a good connection with these Johns.
There's a lot of great guys named John.
That's
Now there
fair.
has to be because there's like 50 billion
That's
Johns
true. There's a
on the
lot of
planet.
Johns in this
Yeah.
world. But he had been the preacher down at church in Dripping Springs.
Hmm.
And we got to talking, and they weren't necessarily looking to hire another minister because they had a preacher, but he kind of talked them into hiring me as their youth
Shout
minister.
out John.
I know, man.
That's
He
awesome.
really kind of worked me in there. And we moved there in 2018. No, 2019. Yeah, 2019. And Amanda and I got there and we loved it. I mean,
Hmm.
we fell in love, got to work as a team. She was working in the office there as well. And we just loved that lifestyle so much. And we really loved that church specifically.
That's a good church.
And we told each other, we were like, I don't see a world in where we ever leave this place. And God's funny sometimes.
You
And
got to be careful what you say, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that brought us back to Oklahoma City. And I've been here at Southwest since, the end of 2020. And so over 4 years now, which
Yeah.
is just super cool. And I love this place. Man, this place is incredible. I
Feels
love
like
the people
home.
here. Yeah, it does feel like home. So it's a little bit of my story. I know I could give more, but you don't want to hear more. So that's okay.
We don't.
I thought it'd be kind of fun
Just kidding.
if we kind of moved away from like super serious spiritual things to kind of getting to know you from a practical standpoint. How I want to do that is by playing a game of like rapid fire questions.
Let's do it.
And how I want to do this is you're going to have 7.5 seconds to reply
Is
to
there a
each one of these
clock?
questions.
A buzzer?
I'll buzz you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll buzz
Thank you.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
All right, give me your favorite fast food.
Since I'm being healthy this year,
No, don't
No,
go healthy.
don't
Just
go
like
healthy?
favorite fast food.
Chipotle or Cane's or Whataburger or Chick-fil-A.
Okay, I said one, but
I have an unhealthy Chipotle. I'll do Chipotle.
Okay, cool. Give me your Starbucks order.
So I really don't like coffee. I don't like that way it makes my brain feel so fast. So, but if I have to get it there, it's a hot white chocolate mocha.
Okay, are you like a hot chocolate guy then?
I am a hot chocolate guy, but that's not hot chocolate. That still makes me feel.
Gotcha.
Woo.
Okay. Video games or board games?
I like both. I mean, I'd probably say video game because you can do it with people or without, or you can do it away when
Yeah.
online. So I'd probably say video game.
Okay. What was your first job?
A YMCA sports ref. So I never had a job until I graduated high school that first summer after graduation. But I worked at the Y actually just down the street here.
Nice.
And I told the guy, I said, hey, I just finished basketball season and I'm looking for a job. I'd love to ref sports. So he said, oh, cool. And then he put me on t-ball, softball, like baseball
Yes.
as an umpire. And I went to him one day and I was like, I can do this. And I think I was doing okay. But I just said, I thought I was going to be reffing, basketball or soccer because those are my sports. He goes, oh, I thought you said you played baseball. So
That's crazy.
But I was a sports ref for a summer. Let me just tell you something. If you want your kids to be really competitive at a young age and be very serious about sports, which that's a whole other subject in itself, don't sign up to play at the Y. Just
You
don't.
remember? You remember when we went to that Thunder game and the halftime show was two
Oh,
little league YMCA teams playing,
the
and
worst.
it was like 6 minutes long, and they scored a total of like 4 points.
Yes.
That might have been the worst halftime
But just
performance I've ever seen.
at the Y, your interaction with the parents is so good compared to all the horror stories of referees. But it just cracks me up when they're like, "That's a travel." It's like, yes, it is. And if I call that, we're gonna be here for 17 hours. It's like,
Rough.
yeah, it's everyone's committing something illegal every 3 seconds at the YMCA in sports. So don't play at the Y.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right, that's good to know.
extra.
Next question. What is your favorite sporting event moment or memory?
I go to a lot of OU football games with family, and I go to a lot of Thunder games now, just being close by. I'd have to say my favorite sports memory would be going to the Rose Bowl. My mom and I went during the college football playoff. OU Baker Mayfield, they played Georgia in the Rose Bowl. Now the game did not go as we desired. We lost, so that stunk.
Lincoln
But
Riley squib kick, man.
the squib kick, the Kyler Murray.
No Baker.
Well, no, Kyler Murray
Oh yeah, he
ran the
did
ball at
ran
the
the
end
ball.
of the
That's
game
right.
instead of Baker having the ball in his
Forgot about
hands.
that.
There's a lot of stuff. Well, the real thing was just the defense
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
atrocious. The times how they change. But that was probably my favorite because the Coliseum,
Yeah.
the Rose Bowl is beautiful. You got the mountains in the background, the beautiful California sunset sky. It was a really cool atmosphere because they split it kind of 50-50. Man, it's somewhat to the Cotton Bowl
Mhm.
in Texas, which is awesome for that OU Texas game. But when they would score and the momentum shift, it literally felt like you got punched in the gut,
Wow.
and then
That's
back
cool.
and forth. So that was my favorite sports memory.
Cool. Okay, what is your favorite church song?
That feels impossible to answer. There's too many.
Yeah.
I would give you a couple old and new. I love "I Need Thee Every Hour." Just
Good
song
song.
means a lot to me. "To Canaan's Land," I love that song. It's kind of a classic. And then new songs, I love. Probably I would say "Taste and See."
Mm,
Was that Psalm
34.
34? I don't know what the title is for that. "Goodness of God" I really enjoy, and then "All to Us."
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, those are probably my favorite.
Cool.
When we sing those, I'm not that I'm not
Yeah,
into the other
fired
ones,
up,
but
man.
yeah.
Okay. Favorite church related trip that you've been on?
Uh, I was blessed enough to go to Africa on 2 different trips. The first one, I went to South Africa with a group of 4 or 5. I was in Elk City at the time, and I loved that trip. We spent almost 3 weeks there, and we
Wow.
just were going through villages and knocking on doors, and people would let us in their home. We'd study the Bible during the day with them. We'd go to the local schools and study with people during the day, and then at night, we would have like a tent meeting and invite those same people. And Africa is beautiful. South Africa, the country, is beautiful, and the best fish I've ever tasted was there. I got bit by a penguin there. That's a whole other story. I met some of the most beautiful, nice, kind people. The local minister there was the minister at 3 different congregations.
Wow.
He just drove.
Dude was busy, huh?
He would preach one place, and when they meet, they meet for a while, and then they would leave. He'd take people in the van home, and then he'd drive to this next place he had been preaching. He'd preach there, and man, his Sundays. You think our Sundays are busy? Woo!
Man.
But South Africa,
Cool.
favorite trip.
Okay. Favorite book of the Bible?
In some ways, I feel like the favorite verse and book thing changes for a preacher depending on where they're at
Yeah.
and where they're preaching. But I think I would probably say the book of John. I'd feel wrong if I didn't pick a gospel since that's where you're introduced to Jesus.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
I just find the Gospel of John I just love the difference that it has compared to Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
Mhm.
And we studied the I Ams this past year, and I kind of fell in love with that book all over again. So
Cool. Okay. Funniest thing that's ever happened to you during a sermon?
Houston, Texas, COVID, just the start of it.
That's all you have to say.
Houston had like rules about the amount of people for a while. Like you had to wear masks, you had to be separated. But my first sermon since I had started there, because I was a youth minister, and I preach and I offer this invitation. I'm standing there and I don't know people, well enough, but here comes walking down the aisle this lady. And I didn't recognize her, so I thought she was a visitor, but she's walking down. And as she's getting closer, I look and she has a dog in her arms. This dog had a mask on.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. The dog had 4 gloves, like gloves on every paw. So she's just holding this dog, this little dog.
What kind of gloves? Like
I
the
don't know,
latex, like the surgical
booties or whatever, like little. So she's walking forward with this dog, and I'm like, she's holding it. So like, do I shake your hand? Do I hug you? And all that. Then there's like the dog.
Do I pet the dog?
Like, good boy, girl. But we sit down on the front row, and she was traveling through Texas, getting back home. I think it was to Louisiana, and she asked for prayers. So talked with her a bit. Had one of our elders get up to pray for her, and as our elders, says what's happening, and then says, "Let us pray." On the pew, it was this woman. The dog was like sitting on the pew. Yeah, and then me. And he says, let's pray. And I like go to bow down. And sometimes I pray with my eyes closed. Sometimes I just keep them open and just think about the words. And I'm sitting there, and I kind of, for some reason, I glanced over just a second. And I swear, this dog had bowed its head with its eyes closed. And I was like, this dog is praying right now.
No shot.
People do the whole, our dog's going to heaven. This was the most spiritual dog
That
I've
dog
ever met in my life. This dog was like better behaved in church than I was as a kid. And I wondered, when you count up responses like some churches do in the bulletin, do you count two?
Count the dog?
Or what? Like, is that a way to inflate the numbers? Like, we had 2 people come. We had 2.
You got to make the announcement. We had 2 people come forward.
We had people. It's like we had 2
responses.
That I don't think I've had something happen during a sermon that's topped that. That's been my favorite.
That's incredible. That is a very funny moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go preach the gospel to all creation.
Last question.
Yep.
Which Bible character would you not ever want to go on a road trip with?
I would, if I was doing, I'd probably say the Israelites.
Okay, why is that?
Well, I know that's a group, maybe not an individual, but one thing seemed to take a really long time.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they tend to complain a lot while it happens.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagine being in a car with, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
I gotta pee.
Where's the food?
Yeah.
Can we stop? That'd
be brutal.
So I would maybe say the Israelites.
Okay.
But that's off the top of my head.
All right. Gotcha. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. I think those are good. The dog. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Or
we need to
do dogs go to heaven? I don't know, but that dog will.
Anytime we get to talk to a preacher or a minister, we need to ask them that very same question and just compile a list.
Best moments.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we don't have anything else for you guys today. I know we have a lot of plans for where we want to go in this podcast and different things we want to do.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some conversations with people. I think we're going to recap some lessons each month.
Yeah.
We just discuss those further. I think we want to even talk about some events we're going to and then just some things happening in ministry. So
yeah,
hopefully you'll tune in and be blessed by it.
Absolutely. Well, we love you guys very much. Thanks for joining us on our first episode of the PB&J podcast. We had a lot of fun together, and I hope that you have a lot of fun with us as we go throughout these episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
All righty. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Adios.